Hey everybody, it's me, Jaime, here. As for what I've been doing out for the last couple weeks or a month or so, I've been going out and seeing movies. The movies that I've been recently seeing are Godzilla and Spider-Man 2. Now, Spider-Man 2 has been out for about over a month now. Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I'll give my first impressions of that. I was originally going to do like a sole vlog on each of these movies. I had to figure to mesh them into one, and I'm gonna go over Spider-Man really quickly because I'm only slightly knowledgeable about Spider-Man. I've only seen the 90s cartoon. I'm not like an in-depth knowledgeable about it for people compared to people who have actually read the comics or from the or have seen like the early cartoon from the 70s. So I am kind of out of the loop. I have seen the previous franchise from the one with Tobey Maguire in it, um, but I'll give my impressions of what's going on with Spider-Man 2. Now, our main actor, Andrew Garfield, he did an excellent job of playing Spider-Man, as always. Um, as for the acting in it, Jamie Foxx, he played Electrode, and I thought he did an excellent job in it. Emma Stone, as usual, did an excellent job as Gwen Stacy. And now the plot and writing was significantly better in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 compared to The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Of course, both of these movies combined are totally better than the previous franchise because we all remember the whole mess with Spider-Man. Was it 3? Um, the original movies that came out, which was with the Venom suit, which was horrible. I mean, they had Spider-Man, they had Green Goblin, and they had Sandman all in the same one. This time around, they sort of evened the pace up a bit and made proper storyline. And I won't tell you all, but oh, what happens to Gwen Stacy at the end? Ouch. Kind of they go kind of faithful to the movies. I mean, to the God, sorry, I don't know. I have problems with when I begin to try to talk and concentrate, so I get sleepy. Anyways, they've been faithful to the movies. I mean, not movies, to somewhat to the comic books a little bit. I mean, as you can think about it, they've gone into their own universe and all, separate of their own compared to the to Marvel's you know story plot outline. But the setup was good, the direction was good. They changed a few things from the previews. Like some of the previews that were shown only online and that were hosted through YouTube through special invite, where was the fact is that they had footage of Mary Jane in it, the character that was, or at least the character was supposed to be Mary Jane in it, and they cut out all of her footage, saying no, we don't need this in here. So that was kind of awkward. We don't know what's going to be set up for the next Spider-Man movie. Apparently, the director wants to be the director Alan Taylor wants to have like more movies come out, like apparently up to 5 or 7, I think it is. I don't remember the actual number, but he wants to have more numbers come out, and which is sort of proven by what we see at the end, sort of the list of all the previous stuff. We got to see Doc Ock, like Electric Arm, sort of in the Oscorp Corporation. And another thing is they cut out like the hints of like the sealed door that's supposed to have like the symbiote in this tube. That's not there too, so they're keeping that hush hush, and they sort of replace it with this Rhino thing. I won't say any much more since this is kind of containing spoilers here. Um, but Jamie Foxx, oh my god, when you think about Jamie Foxx, I mean, like he's an excellent actor. He usually plays the tough dude in plenty of movies, and he's a comedian. But like he's played like in the movie Lullaby, she. He's in the Django. He was in Ray. I mean, but he played in this movie like the nerdy black guy, and like I'm like, who like who has a nerdy black guy in there? I mean, this was an excellent role for him. I mean, and then he becomes falls into a pit and becomes Electro, and which was pretty amazing. And the fight sequences were pretty excellent. I mean, there was probably one cheesy moment in the movie where we had planes crossing, which was rather dumb. But as a person who's like only seen like the movies and the '90s cartoon, can say that this Spider-Man was probably it was enjoyable. I mean, if I had to rate it out of like a 1 out of 10, I'd give it like a 7, an 8, and I'll give it a 7. I mean, it's the best Spider-Man movie that I've seen. I don't know if I can say that it's the best superhero movie out so far. I mean, I had a conversation with people, and amongst that, I've been told that White Soldier is probably the best thing that's ever come out in the superhero franchise. So, about that, yeah. So that was good. Now moving on to Godzilla. 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 Now Godzilla was probably I'll just say this. This was an excellent movie. It paid homage to the previous movies. Our director Brian Singer did an excellent job of portraying the movies of how they were back in the early 50s. If anybody now, I know people that have been arguing about this, saying, "Oh, there wasn't enough time in Godzilla. Like, they only had like maybe like 30 minutes of footage, 30 minutes to 45 minutes of footage of Godzilla fighting, and it was only peekaboos of him and stuff." But not enough fights. If you got to remember, the original movie in 1954, the original Godzilla movie, like had a slow build up. The first half would first part, would be characters around, having to find out what Godzilla was bringing out. Oh, the monster then appears. What do we do? Got to figure out what's going on with the monster. Then Godzilla appears every once in a while to fight. Um, Cuts back to the people, and then you have your climax of the final battle between Godzilla. The movie was a slow build up in the 1954, displaying of Godzilla as a natural force, a natural disaster, a force that can't be reckoned with, and it's unbeatable. And it would be portrayed like what would happen in a disaster movie. This wasn't particular, and the 2014 movie portrayed Godzilla um as the same way, like as the original movie, like it portrayed it as a disaster movie, not a monster fighting movie. As Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim did it had was his own giant mech monster movie, but there was tons of fighting in Pacific Rim, but really poor story writing. I mean, the battle scenes were cool. Like I thought the story writing in Godzilla was excellent. I mean, Bryan Singer knew what he was doing. They had the people from Toho like giving a proper backup of exactly what how they oversaw the movie and how to be the design was perfect. And from what I've seen, and the battle scenes were cool too. Um, Now like and the people are also complaining about like our main character Ford Brody, which was just this military kick-ass dude. They shouldn't have had too much focus on him. Well, like well, come on, he was a kick-ass soldier. I mean, what would you do if you were like stared in the face of this giant nuclear radioactive monster who eats radiation and missiles don't have any effect on it? I'd be screaming like a baby and running away. This guy's a soldier. It's his job to do it. Now, I admit the writing was kind of rather poor about it. I mean, heck, like he's the only one in like a squad of 20 people who doesn't know how to like set the thing. But then again, you got to remember too that like his whole team, his whole crew, who knew how to work that bomb, they got killed off by the Munto. So what can you do? Okay, I'm gonna be kind of telling spoilers here. Um, Brian Cranston's work. So before I mention Brian Cranston, Aaron Taylor Johnson's performance was a decent job. I mean, who knows? He may appear in a second movie. I mean, it was good. I mean, now, like for instance, Ken Watanabe, he played Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. Um, and Obviously, like they could have had like more, um, how do I say, screen time for him. Um, he did an excellent role, so like Ken Watanabe playing the Japanese scientist dude. And his acting was pretty on par. Now, I've heard the biggest complaints from people that I've talked to is that Bryan Cranston, who played Joe Brody, did not get enough screen time. They killed him off way too early compared to what the previews, which played it up where like he was going to get a lot of screen time. Now, this was partially that I was pretty disappointed in too myself, is that they could have had more of Bryan Cranston. But then when I think about it, too, is that he's a scientist, and his son, Ford Brody, which is actually the military dude, is actually going into battle. What use is Bryan Cranston gonna do when Godzilla's duking it out with the Munto? Nothing. He's gonna be sitting on the Bryan Cranston. He's gonna be sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. So it was kind of okay that they sort of killed him off, but they could have killed him off a little bit later. Um, now, I won't mention much of the other actors because they were sort of incidental. I mean, I didn't really care about like Elizabeth Olsen's role as Ellie Brody. That was kind of whatever. I mean, but it sort of portrayed Godzilla portrayed the movie. Godzilla 2014 was portrayed pretty accurately. The design of Godzilla was excellent. Um, I have to give this rating like an honest rating. Like, if you've been watching the Angry Joe's reviews of this movie, he gave it a 6 out of 10, which I think is horribly underestimating this movie. I mean, if any Godzilla fan, this movie was made for the fans, and any fan who's knows the franchise of Godzilla knows what the movies are about and knows the formula of Godzilla. So you don't need to expect like tons of fight scenes with Godzilla. I mean, I admit the second movie will probably have more screen time of Godzilla, and I do admit that he was a little bit underlined in sort of the like when the battles start fighting. Then it cuts away to like another scene with the humans again. I admit that the cutaways to like a different scene where it goes back to like the human perspective of the soldiers or maybe the civilians that was rather awkward, and they could have done it in different situations. Um, but like it wasn't a disaster. It didn't break the movie. This movie, I think, if you compared it like going if you're going fresh into this series and expecting a monster battle movie, blah blah blah, fighting, and all the kind of like then you're going to be kind of disappointed because this is a Godzilla movie. It's based off of previous franchises from Japan. This is not based off of the horrible Godzilla movie of 1998, which what they kill him off with missiles in the 1998 movie. Godzilla is a beast. He doesn't get killed off. Um, so and nothing stops him. He's like an beatable force of nature. Anyways, um, so yeah, as for people who are going into this movie with knowing nothing about Godzilla, or only like from hearsay and you've sort of seen images and stuff from other pop culture references and are expecting like a huge monster movie, um, don't go into this seeing this is going to be like a movie of going to be for like tons of monster movies. I would rate it for people who are going into this for the first time. This would be a movie of out of a 7 out of 4. I not a 7 out of 4, 7 out of 10, like a seven. Yeah, definitely a 7 out of 10 for people who are going into it fresh. For those who know at least about the background and the formula and the history and how all the previous Japanese films that portrayed Godzilla as worth, this was an excellent movie. I would have to give this an 8.5, almost maybe a 9. I mean, this followed like the previous format of Godzilla movies faithfully, right to the bone. And I would suggest to everybody who's gone and seen this movie to go and watch the 1954 movie, and they would have to say how much of the stuff has been improved. Now, I admit that there will be probably more monster movies like um, God's like the last Japanese movie was Godzilla Final Wars, and then you have Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, which is mostly about fighting and stuff. But heck, this is the sort of like a reboot in a way, or in a way, I mean, I guess it could be treated as a sequel in a way. Um, but it's a sequel, and it's the same time it's a reboot of storytelling from the original Godzilla movie. And I would suggest anybody to go and get this movie. This is a movie definitely worth picking up on Blu-ray. Um, so go and do it. And also, there have been words from director Gareth Edwards, and which he's saying that he wants to like make a Godzilla 2 movie, which I think has already been confirmed. I'm not positive. The writers Max Bornstein and David Callum did an excellent job adaptation. Of course, they had the Toho overviewing the movie project to make sure everything's perfect. But man, this movie was excellent. So especially the ending climax scene, Godzilla going reps over from the Muton, goes and blows your fire and brimstone. It's more sort of like a Mortal Kombat finisher move on them. So I've sort of screwed off on Godzilla movies about enough. So what can I say? That's my outtake for basically the vlog for what's going on recently. What I've been doing. I will probably be seeing X-Men Days of Future Past. That should be interesting. It comes out this weekend. I probably will not go see it on opening night since I can't stand waiting in crowds. And I mean, it's really hard to go and see midnight viewings. So I will be probably like bringing up some comments about what's next going on those movies, and I'll probably recommend it. So yes, go out and see Spider-Man 2 and Godzilla. And I think that Godzilla so far is probably one of the better action movies of this year. So go see it. And probably my recommendation for the next one that it should be by will probably be X-Men Days of Future Past. Hopefully. Hopefully. So all you people out there, this is Hayami, and this is a little bit of my thoughts and impressions of Godzilla and Spider-Man. So enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.